Hey, this is Joe from Complete Carnivore, and today I want to show you some new knives I got. These are from Misen. I think it's pronounced Misen. It's kind of short for Mise en place. I have a chef's knife, a bread knife, and a paring knife. If you aren't familiar with Misen, they're a direct-to-consumer brand. They started out pushing products on Kickstarter about 2 years ago, and they've had very successful Kickstarters. They started out with a chef's knife, raised over $1 million on their Kickstarter for that. They've had other Kickstarters for some of the other knives that they've released. They have a line of cookware, some stainless steel pans and carbon steel pan. I think they just did a enameled Dutch oven as well. So I wanted to show you how these knives are. I want to give you my first impressions. Obviously, almost every knife you get is going to be plenty sharp coming out of the box. Some of them, they're as sharp as they're ever going to be for most people. If you are handy with a whetstone and you like sharpening your own knives, that's one thing. Most people, they aren't going to sharpen their knives often. I know my parents, when I was growing up, they had like some little home hand sharpener things that would do more damage than good. Most people aren't going to sharpen their knives more than once a year. So they need a sharp knife. Coming out of the box, they need a blade that's going to last. I can't tell you how well these blades will last because, like I said, I'm opening them up. I'll use them for like 2 minutes as you see it, and I won't be able to give you any long-term outlook on these knives right now. In 6 months or so, I could do a follow-up post and see how they're holding up. I could try to sharpen the blades. I have a WorkSharp E5 electric sharpener. See how it does on the blades. But let's open these up and get into them and take a look at them and see what they are. We'll start out with the chef's knife. Chef's knife, this one generally goes for $65, and there's almost always a 20% off coupon code you can find. Try Misen 20, I think, is one I've recently seen. It'll save you 20%. I'll put links down below to these knives in the video, and you can look at them. So there it is. A couple of care instructions. Obviously, don't put it in the dishwasher. Don't store it unprotected in a drawer. I use a magnetic strip to hang mine on. So here is the knife. It's packaged well. Nothing wrong with that. So on first feel, it feels pretty good. There's a little bit of a scuff right there on the blade. I'm not sure if you can see that in the video. It's got a full tang, meaning the blade goes all the way through the handle. This is a forged knife as opposed to stamped. Some other brands like Cutco. This is the chef's knife I've been using for years. Had it for about probably 12 years now. They're stamped blades. Misen are forged blades. Good thing about forged blades is the bolster. This part right here. It's kind of designed more for a pinch grip. Hold it like that. Whereas this one, a stamp blade, it basically laser cut this whole the whole blade out of a piece of sheet metal. Here they forge it. So the pinch grip on this, it's not the most comfortable thing ever. I don't love this knife. It's a fine knife. I've liked it. It's done what I needed it to. But the weight of this feels good. I like the handle. It's enough texture so you get a good grip, but it's not rough or anything. I don't feel any sharp points that are going to get in the way of cutting. Pinching it here with a pinch grip, it feels good. There's a good curve here for your finger to sit underneath and your thumb to sit kind of on there. Obviously, if you're right-handed, you'll do it that way, but I'm left-handed. I've seen some reviews on these knives saying there's like little gaps where the handle meets the blade, and I'm not seeing that here. I'm not really seeing much on the rivets as far as that goes either. There's not a lot of, it doesn't feel like this is the blade is raised. You can't really feel it as you rub your finger across. You feel a little bit, but not anything that's bad. Best thing about this knife is it's 65 bucks. And like I said, there's 20% off coupon codes like Try Misen 20 that you can use, and you can save more. It's got a decent finish, some brush marks on the blade here. It's not like a super shiny blade. It's not like a Damascus hand-hammered type blade like this Dalstrong. This is a huge, like 10-inch blade. This is more of an 8-inch blade. I got this one a few months ago, and I've been really liking it, even though it's huge. I've been liking. It's got a really good feeling handle and everything. So these are kind of the two different chef's knives I'm comparing the Misen to. This is, I mean, this feels better than the $30 or $20 knife you get at Walmart or Target or wherever. It's obviously not as good as a $300 chef's knife you can get, or something even like Wusthof and Schoon. Those are in the $150 range. Once again, this is a $65 knife. So let's cut a couple things and we'll see how it does. I want to do some just regular cutting. I want to do some chopping. Let's start out with a sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are always kind of a pain to cut. They're heavy and they roll around, so you want something that cuts easily through it, so the blade's not slipping or anything. So let's just see how it cuts. It seems like it slices through fairly easily. Let me kind of compare it to a couple of these other blades. I mean, just at first glance, I think the Dalstrong seems a bit sharper. This, I haven't sharpened this it's been a couple months since I sharpened this. This one, like I said, I've had it for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months now. I haven't sharpened it yet. So, that cuts right through. I'm having to push a little bit harder with this. So yeah, I mean, let's try a couple more things. Obviously, we got to cut a tomato. Let's just go right for it. Let me show you on the Dalstrong first and see what it does. I mean, I'm barely putting any pressure. I'm just pulling it through, and it makes nice, good slices. So let's try the Misen. I mean, that's a nice thin slice right there. This is, I mean, the knife's definitely sharp. I'm just pulling it through. I'm really not pushing down at all. I'm just pulling the knife through, and it's doing a fine job of cutting this tomato. If you wanted to do more of a chop, I mean, it does a great job cutting the tomato. What else? Let's try to do some chopping. We got some pecans. Just want to kind of rock. This is a lot of the rocking. It has to do with the frame geometry, and it's kind of more of a personal preference on if you like it. Let me try it. This is just too big to do to rock. So let me try similar. This blade slides a lot better than the Misen. This one, it's kind of sticking as it's going through. I don't know if I don't know why that is, but I mean, it does a fine job chopping. That's just fine. I mean, it slices a carrot. So, first glance, let me give you some impressions. Once again, this is a $65 knife. This is a $150 knife. This is about a $140 knife here. Just so you kind of get some idea. You can get a cheap Victorinox chef's knife for, I think they're about 30 bucks. You can go up to many hundreds of dollars for a good chef's knife. So it's kind of on the low end price wise. If you are just a normal home cook, you're looking for a nice looking knife to keep around, for 65 bucks, it's hard to beat. If you're like a newly married couple just starting out, you don't really need a whole big knife block. You need 2 or 3 knives. For 65 bucks, once again, I mean, it cuts. There's no doubt that it cuts everything just fine. It doesn't seem quite as sharp as these other two here, but it's still plenty sharp. And I'll need to run it through the sharpener here in a bit and see if I can get a little bit sharper edge. I know some people, when they get new knives, they like to sharpen them right away. Sorry about that, my battery died, but I got a new battery in the camera now. Like I was saying, it seems like it's a great knife for most home cooks. If you need a high performance knife, I don't think this is it. If you need just something to do your normal everyday cutting, chopping vegetables, cutting up carrots for a pot roast, whatever, it's great. Let me see if I can tell a difference in the mean, there's definitely a different blade shape between these two. This seems to have a sharper curve here, which I think makes rocking a bit easier on this one. I think that'd kind of be a preference issue. I mean, the blade looks like it's straight. Once again, I'm not a bladesmith. I don't really know all the specifics about knives and what to look for, but I'm just a cook who uses knives, and I cook at home for the family. So once again, I think it would be a fine knife for that. Once the price point is good, it's a great knife for the price point. It's not going to be as good as a $300 chef's knife you can get. So that's the chef's knife. Let's take a look at the bread knife. We'll get this opened up. I was reading an article earlier on bread knives and serrated knives, and they were kind of recommending go cheap on them. Don't spend a lot of money because the serrated blades are hard to sharpen. It's hard to do it well, especially at home. This is a $60 knife, so it's not a super expensive knife. There's less expensive ones out there. This is the one I use. It's a Tajiro, I think. I know Serious Eats highly recommended this one. Just feeling it, I mean, this is a fairly flexible blade here. This one is much, much stiffer, much, much thicker. So just glancing at it, this one's going to be better for like slicing a roast or like a pork loin or something like that you're going to slice up. It seems like this would be better than this. This blade is just kind of too thin for that. But I think do they sell it? Yeah, it's just a serrated knife. It's not necessarily marketed as a bread knife, but if you have a knife like this, you're going to use it to cut bread. So let's see how it goes through. This is a loaf my wife made yesterday. Cuts right through. You don't need to squish the bread down or anything. It does just a fine job here. Once again, this is 60 bucks. It's fairly heavy, fairly good weight on this compared to this one. Once again, this is like this. I think these are like $20-25. They're pretty inexpensive. They're super sharp. They do a great job slicing bread. But once again, if you're slicing something thicker, oh, let's just try to slice a sweet potato. This isn't the knife you'd normally use for it, but a couple strokes, it goes right through it. So I do like the weight of this. It feels hefty. It feels like it's a solidly built knife. Again, I'm not seeing a lot of issues as far as where the handle meets up. The rivets are good. It's full tang. It feels good. It's got a good weight. It feels balanced. Again, this one, I could maybe go a little bit heavier on this, but it feels good. It doesn't feel awkward or weird to use or anything. Let's check the paring knife. Honestly, I don't even know where my paring knife is right now. I don't use them very often. I normally use something else when I'm cutting vegetables or even peeling apples. So I'm excited to have a decent paring knife. It's a pretty short blade here, but you don't want a super long blade when you're paring. Again, it feels good. The handle feels nice. Everything feels smooth. I'm not an expert at peeling apples, but I mean, I feel like I have pretty good control on it. It's not heavy or awkward. So it does a good job of that. Might be a little bit short of a blade for cutting through. This is a pretty small apple. If you had a bigger one, it would take some work getting through, but it slices right through that. Let's dig out the core. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a good feeling knife. It is small. It would probably be better for peeling than for slicing up your fruit. Where's my carrot? Let's try to peel. Obviously, a vegetable peeler is the thing you want to use for this, but in a pinch, it seems like this does a great job. Once again, it's light enough to have good control on it. So, I like that. It's sharp. I mean, it cuts easily. Let's try the old tomato. I mean, right through it. That's That's what you want to see. You want to be able to just, I mean, I just even hold it in like 2 fingers here, so you can see I'm not really putting any weight on it, and it just slices right through it. Let's try to cut a lemon. This would be a good use for this. It slices nice and thin. Yeah, this is a great feeling knife. I think out of the 3 of them, let's try to move some stuff out of the way here. As far as what they're designed to be used for, I really like the paring knife. The slicing knife, it feels great. Once again, it's pretty hefty. It has a good weight, a good feel to it. Chef's knife, I'm not 100% sold on, but once again, it's a $65 knife, and at some point you do get what you pay for. If this is a great set, if you're just getting married, if you have no knives, if you just moved out of the house for the first time, young couple, young family, that sort of thing, I think the set goes for 130 bucks. They're 155 bucks if you buy them all separate. 130 bucks for the set, and again, you can save 26 bucks on it with a coupon code. Try Misen 20 is the one I've seen lately. So that puts the whole set down to $105, $110, somewhere in that range. And for 3 pretty good knives, that's not a bad price at all. So I would definitely recommend this set. I don't know if I'm gonna use this knife over my other chef's knives necessarily, but I think these 2 are gonna go into regular rotation. I like them. So I don't know if anybody has any experience with the Misen brand. Definitely leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Again, these aren't going to replace a $500 chef's knife. You're not going to see these necessarily in commercial kitchens or chefs using these regularly. But for just a standard home cook, for somebody that cooks 3-4 times a week at home, I think they're great. I think they are a good price point. $105 for the whole set, $65, $60, $30 individually. I think for the price point, they are a great knife. I know Kenji from Serious Eats, he's kind of been misquoted on this knife. So he mentioned it was a holy grail of steak knives or something like that, or chef's knives. And he's explained it a few times that for $65, it's a great knife. Once again, it's not comparing to $100 knife, $150 knife, $300 knife. For a $65 knife, it's great. There's a couple other direct-to-consumer companies that are kind of in the same price range. Again, this Dalstrong, this is kind of the high end. This is the Shogun series. I think this one is 140. Their Gladiator series, which I have a different knife from that series that I kind of like. They're probably more in that price range. Made in Cookware has a knife for about $100 that gets favorable comps with this one. So for 65 bucks, not a bad knife at all. So if you have any questions about the knives, if you have any questions about what I would recommend, just leave a comment below, and I'm happy to tell you what I think. So thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe if you like what I'm doing here, and I appreciate you watching.